Hey guys, so my name is Erica. It's nice to kind of meet you in person. Um, so yeah, I guess I'll just dive on in. Bear with me. I use my hands a lot. I say a lot clearly. I'm better behind the camera rather in front of. So this is a little uncomfortable territory for me. So bear with me, all right? So yeah, I guess I'll just get going. I have notes in front of me in the book and on the side of me, so if you see me kind of looking around, that's what I'm looking at, making sure I'm following those points. But yeah, just please bear with me. And okay, I guess I'll officially start now. So what I decided to do was question one of my favorite speeches and one of the most powerful and moving speeches I think I've heard from a 18-year-old girl, I guess I should say woman. She is a active shooter, specifically a school shooting survivor, and she is personally, I think, amazing. So what this has to do with, obviously, I think you can connect the dots, is gun control. So I will get my political views out of the way, not that I think you really need to know them, but I know it's an unpopular opinion as a Republican and sometimes even in the Christian community. So I will say that my dad is a California Highway Patrol officer, so we do have guns in the house, but they are for his line of duty. And I have been raised that you only own a gun for protection, and if you're hunting for animals, which I don't do, but for protection. So that's what I believe, therefore, is only for protection. I think to get a gun, it needs to be a little bit harder. I think actually a lot harder. Don't think it should be as easily accessible to get like they are today. So with that being said, that's really my main concerns for gun control. I believe in it to a certain level, but I do believe everybody has the right to bear arms as long as it's for protection, or if you hunt as a hobby, awesome. I don't agree with it either, but that's cool. You do you. So, let's see. Where do I start? So, okay, I know where to start. My question that I decided I feel like was a good question was, how do you deliver a speech that is 6 minutes and 20 seconds long that mainly contains silence? Interesting, right? The speech is exactly 6 minutes and 20 seconds, which I'll explain later is why that's significant. And the majority of it is silence. And I think it's amazing the way she delivers it. So this young woman's name is Emma Gonzalez. I'm going to move to my notes, so excuse me. Let me give you a little background on her. Emma Gonzalez was a senior at this high school during this time. The high school was Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where a school shooting happened in February of 2018. And then she came to the March of Our Lives march in March of 2018 and delivered this powerful speech. At this school shooting that she went to was where 17 people were killed, and one of them was one of her close friends. So it was hard for her, and this was only a month later, so there were still plenty of emotions that were overtaking her. But with this speech, she uses it in a way to make a stand, and hopefully, I believe it caused some movement. So here we go. With doing so, with how she became so passionate about it, she co-founded a advocacy group for gun control called Never Again MSD, and they're still going. She still is doing speeches for them. But let's see. I'll just dive on in now, I guess. I keep saying that. I'm sorry. Bear with me. I'm trying to follow my notes, but I'm just awful at it. So what I did to critique her speech to analyze it. I wanted to say critique was because honestly, if I could deliver speeches like her, I think I would be done with school by now. Obviously, we all did the neo-criticism, so that's what I apply to it. So I'll start with, let's see, what she uses to get her speech going and move it along. So what she uses in her speech is ethos and pathos. Mainly she uses pathos, but the way she touches on ethos is because she's been a person that has gone through this, and she uses that experience to portray it to you, to give you the backstory of it, to give you victims' names, and to give you, she knew these people personally, so she knows the situation. She knew what was happening. So that's how she uses ethos, and the way she uses pathos is, I mean, she's using her raw emotion to get it to you. She is using her strength, her courage, and the knowledge that she learned in this experience she had to go through. Oh, that was ethos. I'm sorry. Pathos, again, she's still using the emotion. The way you can tell she's using emotion, besides knowing that she went through this shooting a month ago before, was her words are strong, but they're hurting. Her words are clear and concise, but they waver because she's holding this emotion back to deliver this speech to you. And she's using her freaking courage, man. Like, that is, she spoke in front of millions of people a month after losing one of her best friends and 16 other people that she didn't know personally. And also, with using the victims' names as part of the emotion and the ethos, she uses a phrase consistently throughout the time that she's speaking, and the phrase is will never. They will never. He will never. She will never. And it hits you because you still have these opportunities as living to still have the opportunities to do something, to go to the beach, to go to school, to go on this date. I mean, I don't know, whatever you do. Whereas these people, it was taken from them, it was stolen from them without even having a choice. I mean, death is never usually a choice for most of us, but for them, they will never. So, yeah, it just hits you pretty hard. So after she keeps saying the phrase, will never, she goes silent. She spoke for about 2 minutes and 10 seconds, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. And then the remaining time, 4 minutes, 10 seconds, something like that. She just goes silent. And at first you're a little confused. You're wondering why she's doing this. And although to some people it was a silence and remembrance for them, which it was, but she was using her silence as a tool and as a power tool to get her point across. The significance of the 6 minutes and 20 seconds being the speech that long and that long precisely was because that's how long it took this active shooter to kill these 17 men and women. So she gives her spoken speech for the 2 minutes and then she goes silent. And that's just to show us that although, you know, to like in our everyday lives, you could sit on your phone, you could watch TV, you could talk to somebody, no problem for 6 minutes and 20 seconds. It feels like time flies usually. But in that moment of just even the 4 minutes and however many seconds, it feels like a lifetime. It feels like forever. And that's just standing there, watching her stare out into the crowd, into the camera, where she feels like if you were watching it on TV, it was just directed at you. she is doing that. And again, it feels like forever. So that's why it was significant. People were confused. I was confused watching it. It didn't make sense to me at first. But later on, it was explained that this amount of time that the speech was, again, was the amount of time it took to kill these 17 men and women. And during her time of silence, you just saw where her emotion took her over. Her tears were rolling down her cheeks. She was being cheered on by the crowd and people, which I'm sure were confused as to what was going on. A lot of it was speculated that she was nervous and all of that, but it was a stand. It was her time to take a stand and be heard. And so, even though she wasn't saying anything, her point came across strong and powerful. So then comes to the style of her speech. What I loved about her speech is that it was clear, it was concise, it had a beat, it had a rhythm, it was like spoken word poetry is the way I felt it was delivered, especially when she did her speaking for it. Spoken word poetry is amazing. It's powerful, it's raw, it's people pouring their hearts out to you, and that's exactly what she was doing. And this is why when you ask if she's using pathos, ethos, or logos, she's most definitely using pathos most of the time. So the reason why I think this is a contribution to everyday life is because we live in a sinful world. We live in a scary world where I just learned in our church how 1.3 billion people don't have the word, and how as believers we should want to be evangelists, we should want to spread the word. And for me, from a Christian stand view with this speech, is, did these kids know the word? Were they believers? You know, stuff like that. For me, that's what this speech means to me. Am I doing my job as a believer? Another question. Am I doing my job as a believer to spread the gospel, to show everybody God's love and mercy? Because that's just how powerful this speech was. Even though she wasn't meaning to use it in a theological or religious way, that's how it hit me. So, I mean, there's another question. Are we being, with this speech, are we being the Christians we should be? And, yeah, I'm a little lost for words right now. So, give me a sec. Okay, so, pardon me. I think I hit all the points. I know for me, I let my emotion take over this project as well. And I think that's why I was a little bit more using my zeal over it and just going for it. But it's I'm stuck. This is where I don't like being in front of the camera. You can take this speech as many different ways as you want. And I know it's supposed to be meant just for gun control. But that's why when, after hearing it again, analyzing it, listening to it, geez, probably at least 10 times, and then looking over the book and the notes and my notes, I've had to critique and analyze it. I came to the conclusion, for me, of, am I being the Christian I'm supposed to be? Am I spreading the word like I'm supposed to be? And showing his love and mercy that he shows to me to other people. Am I being that light in the world? And I feel like when people listen to this speech, a lot of them are just judging her as being, you know, a women's and gun control rights activist, and, you know, she's not a believer. She is an outright lesbian, but she got to me to make me think of, you know, again, am I being the Christian I'm supposed to be, with a speech that was so powerful that answered my question of how is she delivering the speech with only 2 minutes and so many seconds of actual word, you know? So I'm just gonna leave it there. I know it's a little confusing, I'm sorry. I try my best to follow my notes, but I get all jumbled. I've recorded this video like 4 times now, so I'm just not giving up, but I am just gonna let it be. I just keep letting my emotions take over it. But thank you for bearing with me and sitting through this. I appreciate it. And obviously, if you have any questions, just email me or email me and ask for my number, because I am better with texting or calling even. I prefer calling. I'm a 24-year-old who likes a cell phone. So just let me know. I know it's a little confusing. I wish you could read my essay because I feel like it's a lot better. But anyways, I'll restate my questions for you after coming out of this. So my first question originally starting this was, how do you deliver a speech that is so powerful that only has a little over 2 minutes of speaking, and then but the speech is 6 minutes and 20 seconds. And then the other question I have coming out of it is, are we being the Christians that we should be and spreading the gospel and showing everybody love, no matter their situation or who they say they are? Yeah, I hope this makes sense. It makes sense in my head, but hopefully I made it clear enough for you guys. So, good luck. I wish you the best. I wish I could do better. But have a good one, you guys.